Today's guest is Parker Hughes, founder of a fast-growing marketing agency based in Arizona. What I loved about this chat is that it wasn't just another convo about hacks, algorithms, or getting more followers. We get into the reality of building a business when you're young, dealing with imposter syndrome, leading a team, managing clients, navigating AI, and figuring out how to build something sustainable without completely burning yourself out in the process. Parker shares the sliding doors moment that took her from wanting a career in healthcare and accidentally finding marketing, how a single LinkedIn message changed the trajectory of her career, and the scary health scare that forced her to rethink the way she's working. If you've ever felt pressure to grow faster, do more, work harder, or compare yourself to everyone else online, I think you'll get a lot out of this one. This podcast is proudly brought to you by Sked Social. Start your free 14-day trial now. Let's get into it. Parker, thank you so much for joining us on the Scene podcast. How are you going?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Fresh off a trip from Europe, feeling fine. You were just saying off air, you're feeling like you've had some space to think and get creative and tackle problems in a different way.
100%. And I think just show up for myself, show up as a leader for my team, and show up for my clients in such a different way. It feels like a different era coming back from a trip, which I did not expect. I was thinking, oh, it's a nice little holiday vacation. I'll just get back to the grind, and it was almost like an ego death in the process, which I did not expect at all.
Well, how long have you been grinding for? Like, when did you start the agency and how did that all happen for you?
Yeah, so I started the agency in 2021. So it's been, I think next month officially, it's 5 years, which is so crazy. I feel like I've been a vet in the industry, but at the same time, I feel like a beginner every couple months. And the industry is always changing. There's AI now emerging and constant updates online. But I actually got into the industry kind of on accident. I went to Grand Canyon University here in Arizona and thought I wanted to be in healthcare. I went down the route of a physician assistant and then shortly after switched to nursing. And by the grace of the universe, I couldn't apply to nursing school by like 0.05 of a point. It was like the difference between like an A plus and an A minus. And it was one of those life moments where nothing makes sense and it just like completely shocks and rocks your world in all the worst ways. And I remember my parents met me for lunch and I was just sobbing in public, not a care for who was around me, and still kind of was set on going into healthcare and decided I would stick with the course, changed my major, ended up changing my major to business and marketing. And I had business classes, communications, marketing for the first time ever. And I was a nerd. Something just clicked in my brain. It was literally the basic of basic marketing classes, Marketing 101. And I was the kid in the front row raising my hand, knowing the answer to every question when everyone else around me had no idea what the answer was. They weren't listening. They were on your phones, And I just kind of let that follow and guide me. So I ended up graduating early, right before COVID, feeling like I had zero experience, not knowing really what to do in the field. And I got an internship right out of college and started working for an influencer here who also owned a marketing agency and literally was a sponge of everything. I kind of became a jack of all trades intentionally because I really wanted to just have a wide experience so that I could really figure out what niche within a niche I wanted to be in. And the rest has really been history. I worked with that influencer for about just under 2 years. Got my first freelance contract through LinkedIn. I hadn't even been posting at the time, and she sent me a DM, said, hey, I started this business, and that one contract tripled my monthly income working for this influencer. I was living at home at the time and just said, you know what better time to start a business than this? My parents are taking care of most things and I really don't have a lot of bills. What's the risk here? And yeah, I haven't looked back. It's crazy.
It's funny. the sliding doors moment, hey, when you grow up thinking that you wanted to do this one thing and then when it gets stripped away from you and then it's like an identity crisis. Hey, like
literally
all my thoughts and energy into this thing and now it's that door's shut. Like, what am I going to do?
What
And I
now?
think like, yeah, but attacking it with curiosity. And I think like, I always look back to the people at uni, like, who took it seriously. They ended up with the best jobs in the best careers. And it's like, I don't know, it's hard because you're young and you just want to have fun. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of life is socializing and making friends and things like that. But like, not forgetting why you're there. And I think like
right.
the people who genuinely put in energy and effort tend to get further. So I feel like you could do
Yeah.
this or you could do that. And being naturally curious, I think it just puts you in a good place.
Yeah. Well, and it was also one of those moments, right? Like starting a business at 22 years old when everyone else around me is just partying and I'm just trying to figure out what's going on, what I want to build for myself, why I even have this passion, that I'm trying to figure out what it even means. I think that's hard in and of itself. And then adding COVID as an additional layer on top of that, and suddenly all of that social connection that you somewhat need as an entrepreneur, and networking is instantly overnight gone. I felt a lot of, I think, imposter syndrome at the beginning because so many of my peers who had been in marketing the full 3 or 4 years that they were in university had multiple internships. And here I was graduating feeling like a complete, not fraud, but fraud in a lot of ways of just, if I'm looking at two resumes, I have so much experience in life and different kind of avenues. But if you're looking at just marketing, I feel like I'm a baby, But once I had that moment, I feel like once it clicked, I feel like it just kind of fell into my lap. I wouldn't say effortlessly, but pretty effortlessly. And then once I looked back on my life, I was like, oh my God, it was here the whole time. Like when I was a kid, like 12 or 13, I had like 4 Instagram pages that I would just talk about pop culture, post fashion, and I never considered that as a potential job because at the time it wasn't. And it, even 5 years ago, I feel like was still emerging as something in the industry, and it's changed so much in just such a short amount of time. But it's just crazy how life works out that way.
Yeah, and I think like because it's such it changes so quickly, this industry, like you can come in and learn new things and it be kind of current, like
Yeah.
people could be learning, like have all this experience, but processes and workflows and how you do things
Mm-hmm.
change so much that it's like you really need to be always on and always curious, hey, to like
Yeah.
be good in this world. So I think like that drive and ambition to keep learning, I think is the fuel to make it good, I suppose, and scale
Yeah.
how you want it to scale.
I totally agree. And I think that is absolutely what has set me apart from any of my competitors, any of my friends who started business at the time, or peers or colleagues. Most of them aren't even in business anymore because they didn't have that same scrappiness, for lack of better word, that I had, where it was just this drive to keep going and ability, I think, to be adaptable and resilient and figure it out as I go. And I think that's still, even today, 5 years later, is still what has just proven me, I think, to be so successful no matter what business kind of lessons come my way, for sure.
What is day-to-day life for you in like agency world? Like I'm sure it's all over the shop, like managing all the different clients and stuff. But how do you structure that up and what does it look like for
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. I am the queen of time blocking. I literally have colors for everything and codes for everything. Some of my colleagues and friends will tease me about it, and I'm like, you know what? It keeps me sane. But on any given day, it's pretty much some client management, some sales work, some team management, and then I am the one who is currently running all my socials. I feel like that is the one thing that I just don't want to delegate yet. I have so much fun posting on stories and just having that creative outlet that for now it's manageable. And really across the board, I think I'm really doing a lot of the outward creative for the brand as well. I write all of the newsletters, pull all of the marketing reports. So anything you're getting from the business is really coming directly from me. And then with the client work, to go into more specifics, I right now I'm holding the title of creative director as well. So I'm kind of the strategic head of what is this brand? What are they trying to accomplish? Here's the strategy of exactly how we're going to get them to that and the aesthetic that we'll try to create for them. And then I'll have my team go create it.
I love that. And I suppose doing the job is one thing, and then leading a team is another, and comes with a whole set of new skills. Like, was that something that you had to learn, or did it come naturally to you to like lead teams as well as do the work?
Yeah, great question. I think a little bit of both. I'm the oldest of four, and I feel like I was always my entire life like the friend mom in the group, the mom. I feel like in a lot of ways it came naturally to me, but then of course I think as your business grows and changes, naturally you're going to be met at each different level with different things and problems that you've never dealt with before. So I feel like about the last year and a half, maybe 2 years, is where I've really gone deep into leadership. Just educating myself. I joined a mastermind 2 years ago that really kind of helped me with that, just development of the leadership skills, kind of having a point of reference of what other people are doing. How do I want to look internally? How do I want to structure my team? And I think that has really helped. But I mean, I'm not perfect. I, of course, strive to be the best leader, but I think there's always work to be done for sure.
I love that. And working in like a reactive industry where there's so much things obviously going on, like how do you put in boundaries, like in terms of, because I feel like in this world, like I'm always on social, I'm addicted to scrolling, but I love it. You know what I mean? But sometimes I feel like I've seen everything on the internet and I'm like, my brain is fried and I don't think I can get any more inspiration from the same source anymore. So I think like you going to Europe and having that real zoom out moment, I think like those types of things where it's like you're deep in the weeds, but like, how do you find like switching off, especially when it's your business? Hey, like if there's a problem, someone buzzes you in the morning, you can't just sort of ping that across to anyone else. You kind of have to deal with it yourself. So how do you like put those boundaries in place, or have you?
I think the best thing that I ever did in business was I don't have two phones, but I do have two numbers. So I have a number that clients can reach me through, a Google Voice number, and then I have, of course, my personal number. But even that sometimes is overwhelming where I have it all on the same device. So I definitely think for me, the biggest shift I made when it came to my boundaries and what I've even taught my account managers as we've continued to scale is I'm always happy to pass out my number because I think it builds the relationship with the clients and especially team as well. But I think right during onboarding, it's so important to set expectations of, hey, I'm a real person. Like, I had a client, for example, he was American, moved to Australia, and on Thanksgiving, like first year in my business, he was calling me and blowing me up while I'm at Thanksgiving dinner with my family, trying to, unplug. And I think that was one of the most pivotal moments in business where I was like, okay, there needs to be a boundary here. But back to what you were saying about Europe, that's the first thing I thought of. I think just being on airplane mode and then having such a big time difference, I was so unplugged from the world that I've really tried to keep a lot of those same boundaries as I've kind of reintegrated back into business and life post Europe. And I'm always on Do Not Disturb. I have no notifications on any app on my phone. So that really helps. And then anything business related, I have set days and set times that I'm kind of tapping in.
I love that. I love that. Notifications is a big one. I feel like when you see all these things come through, I feel like, in your mind, you have to respond straight away, or you feel like it gets flipped and you don't want it to wait a day. One thing I've learned is like times during the day to reply as well. Like, I check email like twice a day and it's for 15 minutes, 20 minutes and reply to everything because it's just so hard. Like you think back in the day, like in the workforce, you couldn't just get someone's attention like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
To do something or there was a bit of a process. So people had time to think and come up with stuff, where now I feel like you just get bombarded and you need to know the answers straight away, or it feels like you need to know the answers straight away.
Yeah. And it creates, I think, so much noise for all of us and so much fatigue. So you're met with decision fatigue on social media every day as just a consumer and user. And then to add the layer of entrepreneurship on top of it, it just, I think, creates so much noise that, I mean, I even work with people and clients. For example, this injector I know, she has notifications for everything. And every time she hears it beep, she picks up her phone. And that's by design, right? That's what they want. They want to get your attention. But I think it's up to all of us to set those intentional boundaries, because nobody wants to live a life just checking their notifications and scrolling on social media all day long. You want to be actually connecting with people.
100%. One thing that I did like as a tactic was like turning the notifications on for people who I wanted to interact with. So on Instagram. So if someone posts, I can sort of get there early and share and do that support. So I think like those types of things are cool too. Like if you want to stay on top, but it's just so hard at all times. And I feel like when people call you, that's why I'm a big fan of the text or the email, because it's like, like the call sometimes it's like, you have to stop what you're immediately doing to focus on that. So I feel like sometimes that's a bit crazy for me. I like to know kind of what I'm in for before I answer the phone, but I know like a lot of good stuff happens when you just answer it and make it happen. But for me personally, I think it's like self-awareness, like how you like to work or how you best work and figuring that out over time with experience.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. And I think how I even managed clients at the beginning, I was terrified to jump on a phone call. Oh my gosh, I would avoid it like the plague. I would prefer Zoom because you could actually see their expression. And, there was no way to, I think, interpret something the wrong way. Whereas over the phone, sometimes with tone of voice, like you just might miss each other. Whereas now I call my clients all the time, but I definitely will say I am the type of person where I need a text. Why are you calling me? And then if I'm able to, like you said, I'll tap in, I'll give you a call back. But I love voice notes though, for that reason. My friends and I were all scattered all over the world. And no matter what time zone, instead of picking up the call or picking up a phone and calling, we'll just voice note for 10, 20 minutes, and we call them TED Talks or podcasts. And it's just such a great way to still have that, I think, intentional form of connection without it taking up so much time and space out of your day.
What about like the pressure in your role? Like how do you, what's the hardest part of what you do?
Yeah. Ooh, that's that is a deep question. I think the hardest part for me, I would say 2 years ago, was the expectation that I put on myself and the expectation I felt I allowed to be put on me by clients, where it's that constant availability. I had a very pivotal moment in business as well, where it was before I had really outsourced to my team and hired. I was very timid about hiring, never had done it before, didn't know who to look for, and I had so much on my plate. I was working crazy long hours. Like, I feel like most agency owners in the beginning, you're just trying to figure it out and stay scrappy. And I thought I was having a stroke. I had all of the symptoms. And went to the emergency room, spent an entire day there by myself, stayed overnight. And that was the moment for me and I did not have a stroke, but was fully symptom presenting. It ended up, thank God, just being like a tension headache, and I have not had any problems since. But that to me was just such a wake-up call of, okay, something's got to change. This is not worth the crazy hours just looking at a screen, grinding all hours of the day. And I think that is kind of when I made the shift into that leadership, kind of pulling on what we were talking about earlier, made that shift into, okay, now that I'm actually building a team, what does this team look like and what does the culture look like behind my business? And I think that has really helped me to also have almost like a North Star when it comes to our boundaries and even designing my day as well, to kind of tie it all together. Just your why and being very strong in that.
And I think like fear is the biggest change, but like the driver of change. Hey, when something like that happens, you're like, well, I can't sustain that and I won't be able to do the business. So I need to put in these boundaries or I can't, it just can't work. So it's like, it forces you, hey, to just be like that. And then that I suppose hindsight, you're just like, oh yeah, you can set up those boundaries and you don't have to do that thing. But I feel like when you're starting something and momentum's hot, you don't want to lose momentum or you don't want the train to fall off the track. So you're doing everything you can to because it's scary. You know what I mean? Especially
Yeah.
when you're employing people and you've got other people's livelihoods that you're responsible
Right.
for. I think that's a totally different story than just rolling into work and worried about your own job. It's like
A hundred
the
percent.
pressure of other people and their
Yeah.
livelihood and how they, and making sure that they're enjoying their work and they're
Yeah.
motivated and you're like giving them opportunities to advance and stuff. Like of it's a lot to put on your plate, you know? So
Yeah.
it's good to hear that you've got like some good support around you to help you with all this stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And it definitely took time. I think 100% I have felt that pressure throughout business. And I think it changes, but for me, I think just having that perspective of, okay, why am I actually doing this? I think has really helped me to just stay grounded through all of it. There are definitely times where I kind of slip back into that fear-based mindset of old patterns that I've been in, and you kind of get into oh shit mode mentally. But I think having a strong team to support you, they also understand me really well. So I think once they see that I'm applying a lot of pressure on myself, they can kind of help me walk through that. But I think it's hard. And I think it's hard to be ambitious. And it's hard to be an ambitious woman who's so young. I was so blissfully naive to the world around me when I first started. And I think now being 27, I've obviously had some years under my belt in business. I think the pressure has really changed and my expectation has really changed. But I think I've had to really reground myself in what's actually important. Am I just working towards an income goal and then I hit it and I'm like, ugh, okay, on to the next? No, that's not what I want to do with my life. That's not what I want my business to stand for, you know? And I think that's the trap that so many entrepreneurs fall into.
The grow at all costs. You see all these companies, they're earning millions and millions, and it's hard not to be jealous because you're like, oh, that would
Right.
be nice. But it's like the part that's interesting is that a lot of these people who are building that are totally cooked, and
Right.
like, you know, the trade-offs are real. Like you can't do everything, and you know, and it's like, why plug into someone else's idea or game? You know what I mean? It's like you create your own. It's like, what do you want to build for yourself? And
Exactly.
it doesn't have to be grow at all costs. It might be, but for a lot of it, it's not. It's just like building a sustainable life, hey, and being happy and being able to live as well, rather than just work all the time. So I think like that's
Yeah.
me personally. It's like I got sucked into that trap for a bit. You know, you're seeing other and you're like, yep, let's do this, let's do that, and you know, you work 18-hour days and 7 days a week, and it's like I get that, and part of my sort of learnings is as long as there's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, you know, where you're working towards something where it's like, hey, like that Europe trip or something like that. Like I'm happy to work hard for a certain amount of time to get a result,
Right.
but this can't be just an ongoing thing that just keeps extending or the goalpost keeps shifting. It's like, no,
Exactly. And I think
yeah,
that's why working in sprints is so effective. And we will work in sprints exactly like that, where it's kind of all hands on deck for 1 to 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more, depending upon what we're launching or how crazy our client load is. And I think it's important, you know, to have those moments. And it even allows you, I think, in those moments to see where potential bottlenecks are and where you might need new systems as you scale, because the systems I had in place when I first started my business are not nearly the ones that I have now. Some of them have stayed. But I think it's important to kind of always have that mindset and look for the opportunity for growth as well there.
What about AI? Obviously, the last few years, well, last couple of years, has been absolutely crazy, especially in our
Mm-hmm.
world. Like, I see a lot of people using it in creative, and it's like, you know, the visuals and stuff. It's almost like it is there, really, but
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many different things you can use it for, and like, I think the best people for me that I'm seeing are using it in their workflows or how to condense and summarize like large blocks of information
Mm-hmm.
and things like that, or even just your thoughts on how to like expand on ideas or, you know, counteract these arguments and things like that. How do you use it personally and for the
Yeah.
business?
Personally, I definitely use it quite a bit. I love to use it when I'm brainstorming. So right now, hitting about 5 years in business, literally next month, I'm kind of thinking, okay, what do the next 5 years look like? So I'll just brain dump. I'll send myself a voice memo, I'll journal, and I'll take a picture of that and put it into AI and have it summarize it into notes and kind of co-create an action plan on how exactly are we going to go achieve this now? What are my daily tasks? What does that look like? What are my monthly tasks? What are the quarterly goals that I need to be hitting personally? What about my team? So I think when it comes to personal versus business, for me, it's personal and business. I feel like the deeper I get into business, the more and more integrated my life is with business. I think balance is an illusion, and really it's all about just how can you integrate play and those key things personally, but also kind of build a business that works hand in hand with that. So I think aside from that, personally, I use it for like fitness plans, workout plans as well, kind of keeping me on track with my personal goals. And then within the business, we definitely use it for brainstorming and editing. So with my newsletters, each week I send out a newsletter and I'll draft it out, get my thoughts together, super messy. And then I'll kind of have AI go through it, make sure I didn't miss any key points. It really will land for my audience. And then, of course, spelling checks, grammar checks, all that good stuff.
I love that. I love that. And like notes, I think are so important. Hey, like when you're chatting to people and like you're recording them, because I got the memory of a goldfish. You know what I mean? So I need these transcripts and things for me to make sure that I'm prepared and ready to go. Like, because there's nothing worse. Like I can't even imagine what life was like before AI. Now it's like we have to think about all this shit and like the amount of time and effort it took to do like these little things, and it's like. That was crazy. Like, I think like future kids and stuff will just be like, what do you mean you didn't have AI? You had to read that whole book and do all that work. Right. It's like,
and do a report on the book.
Yeah.
They're like, now I just read a summary.
Exactly. But one thing I am a bit worried about is like the critical thinking element. It's like, it's one thing. But then again, it's like at school they told you'll never have a calculator in your pocket. You know what I mean? And then we got the phone.
Exactly.
So it's like I can't remember the last time I've done like a math equation in my head. It's just bang bangs. But if that's every element of your life, I feel like that's a bit different. You know, when like you're having convos with people and you're like, let me compare my notes and you compare your notes, and it feels like two agents talking rather than two people. You know?
Yeah.
So
no,
interesting how it's going to go.
And I think that's the biggest mistake I see, especially in marketing. Like I said, I'm the one who pushes out all of our content. I have chat go through. I use ChatGPT and Claude for the most part. And I will have it edit my captions just to make sure that the flow looks right. But I think so many people are just having it completely write everything. And the people who are using it for graphics or videos, or they're creating a twin version of themselves, you can tell. And I think so many people are in denial of how much trust they're losing with their potential clients and patients even online because of it. Like, what is the point of using like an AI clone, for example, that is the most perfect, fit, beautiful version of yourself, and then you're meeting with a client on Zoom and you look nothing like that person? They're going to think you're a fraud and not trust you enough to work with you. So I think there are definitely a bunch of people who are using it correctly right now, and I think it's a great tool if you use it effectively. But I think there are a lot of people who are just saying the same things online because they're just plug and chugging through multiple different AI platforms.
It reminds me of my LinkedIn profile picture that was taken 7 years ago. And that's like the photo I use for everything. And I'm like, I'm definitely going to catfish a few people here with a profile pic from 7 years ago when I was youthful funny. And hopeful and optimistic. What about like the psychology behind marketing and like, I think that's like a big part of what we do is understanding people and how they behave and how to get their attention and emotions and things like that. Mm-hmm. Like, is that something that you had to learn, or was that sort of natural for you? Like that curiosity about like the human behavior side of things?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I took a couple psychology classes in university, absolutely loved them. And I think they've absolutely helped me through my journey through entrepreneurship, especially in sales. I think when I first started my business, I didn't niche. So I was talking to everybody who would listen, and as a result, nobody listened. And I, of course, still got clients, or I wouldn't be in business today on this podcast. But I think in order to sell someone on a service, you have to understand the pain points that drive them and the emotions as well that are driving them to make a financial decision for their business. And I think once you master that, no matter what your niche is, if you are talking to everyone, I think that is the key of what will really set you apart. And I think the only way to really master that is by just testing different messages. And those change too, right? Especially as the industry changes and new platforms emerge. The people on Instagram are not the same people on LinkedIn. So they're not going to relate and respond the same way. So you really kind of have to just test and post as much as possible. And then once you strike gold, double down.
Well, it's hard too, isn't it? It's like, yes, you can follow all these playbooks, but until you do it yourself and experience it yourself, I think that's when it really sinks in the lessons around, you know, what you've been learning and what you've actually put into practice. So yeah, very cool. All right. I've got a new segment called Fast Five, and it's just literally first thoughts, first thing that pops into your brain. If you're ready to go, we'll get into it.
I'm ready. Yep.
All right. Coffee order.
I love a brown sugar shaken espresso.
Well, I don't know if we have these here in Australia, but that sounds
so
not brown
good.
sugar. That sounds healthy.
Yeah.
Brown sugar. Yeah. Love that.
I feel like it's the opposite.
What's your favorite song at the moment?
Ooh, favorite song right now, I think, is Anything Megan Thee Stallion.
I haven't heard that one.
Really?
Yeah, need to stuff that out. I'll add that to the playlist. What's your favorite account to follow?
Ooh, I love following the Hermosis right now. Layla and I'm forgetting his name. Alex, yep.
Probably the Band-Aid on his nose.
Yes, it's this fast game. I'm like, answer as fast as possible now. And I love following Boss Babe. If you know who Natalie Ellis is, I've been loving what she's doing online right now.
Perfect. Favorite platform?
Instagram.
Yeah, the OG. I like it.
Yep.
And pet peeve. What's something that really annoys you?
Ooh, I hate when people buy bot followers online because I think it's a waste of time.
Oh my God. And it's so funny you say that because you see people with these massive followings and getting 13 likes, and that looks way worse. Really?
It's so much worse. And they're not making money. So what's the point? Nobody's seeing your content, so they're not going to buy from you. But yet people are still doing it.
It's weird, isn't it? And I find
Weird.
The best accounts are the ones with like maybe micro following, like maybe 5,000-10,000, and then all this engagement on their post. That's when you know, like, all right, this brand or this person has actual influence. Hey,
exactly. Yeah.
Well,
Totally
Parker,
agree.
this has been awesome chatting with you. I reckon we got to get you on again for round 2 and see what's happened throughout the year. But really appreciate you jumping on and sharing your wisdom, and we'll stay in touch.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.